everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. It's Jaden here, and basically for today's video, I wanted to show you guys all of the books on my physical TBR, meaning basically all of the books that I have purchased that I have not yet read. So I'm not entirely sure how many are gonna be in this video. I feel like I want to do like plus or minus maybe like 40 is my estimate. So I'm gonna guess we are over 40, but I'm not entirely sure. So I guess we can count them up and then figure it out at the end. But with that being said, I really wanted to show you guys all of the books and kind of just give you guys maybe some recommendations, or maybe books that you guys have thought of picking up but haven't yet read, or if you guys have read these books and think they're really good, maybe I can increase their likelihood of getting read next. And so I have such a long TBR. I also have a Kindle, and so I also have Kindle Unlimited, and so I've been reading books on there also, but we're not going to count those in this little TBR. These are just all the physical books that I have. And so with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, I did want to say that this is my TBR card, okay? So these are all the books that I have yet to read. And then I also just have this little stack right here. So I think we'll go through these first. I'm not really going in any certain order or anything, but I do just want to kind of rapid fire through these and maybe pause on a few books that I'm like questioning, or books that I feel like are really at the top of my list. But with that being said, let's just dig in. So first things first, I have Caraval. This is by Stephanie Garber, and I have heard so many good things about the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, but I've heard that you need to read this series first, and so hence why I have it. I have yet to read this book. I'm not entirely sure when. I'm thinking this is more like fall vibes, and so that's kind of an excuse for not reading it yet. Then we have Bad Girl Reputation by Elle Kennedy. I am such an Elle Kennedy fan, you guys. I have a few more books also by her as well, so we'll just get to those. But this one I think is the second in the Good Girl Complex series. I read that maybe 2 years ago now, oh my gosh, but super excited to read this. This has been on my TBR for quite some time, but it's a summer book and I feel like I need to get to it right now. Then I have two more Elle Kennedy books. So I have The Graham Effect and The Dixon Rule. I feel like these are very much so like school setting vibes, so I'm thinking more so like August, September is when I'll start reading these. They're pretty thick books though, so gotta keep that in mind. Really hoping I get to them soon. Then I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I have yet to read this because it looks so daunting, you guys. The text is just so tiny to me, and that is probably the only reason that I haven't picked this book up yet, but maybe I'll read it on Kindle and then we'll see if I switch to like hardcover or not, but we'll see. And then I just picked this book up recently, actually. It's called The Fury by Alex Michaelides. Sorry, my bad. But this is basically like a mystery that's held in, I think, Greece. And so very much a summer vibe book. And also I feel like most summer vibes that I read are very like romance driven. And so kind of just going on to something different and a different like genre might be kind of up my alley at the moment. Then we'll start getting into my TBR cart. And so first things first, we have The Brothers of Hawthorne. This is the fourth book in the Inheritance Game series. I have read the first three and I have loved them. And so I'm super excited for this one. Grayson is definitely my favorite character. Jameson is up there for sure, but Grayson definitely has my heart. Then we'll just kind of grab a few. So first I have Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. So this one I'm super excited to read. I think this might be my next read of the month just because I'm super into golf recently, you guys. It has been so much fun getting to learn how to do it, and so love that. Then we have some Sarah Adams books. So first I have When in Rome, and then I have Practice Makes Perfect, and then The Rule Book. And so I think I really want to get to these super soon. I feel like these are perfect summer reads. And Sarah Adams is just really quick with her writing. I love how fast-paced her books are, and so I really want to get into these. Then I have The House of the Cerulean Sea. I have the first two books in the Naturals series. So I have The Naturals and then Killer Instinct. I've heard that this is kind of like a true crime type series, but it's also like kids who have powers, I'm pretty sure. And so That sounds really fun. And it's also a Jennifer Lynn Barnes book. And you guys, I'm just so obsessed with like the Hawthorne series that I'm excited for this one as well. Then I have 2 Lauren Asher books. So the first one is called Love Redesigned. I know she just made a new one called Love Unwritten. And so need to get to this one for sure. It's just a bit daunting. And then next we have Throttled by Lauren Asher. I am super excited to get into this book. I feel like it's gonna be super fast paced. This one's about like F1 drivers and I love that. And I don't know, I felt like I should have read it during F1 season, but you know, there's always next year. Then we have Ruthless Vows. Ooh, what am I saying right now? Then we have Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I love Divine Rivals. I thought it was such a cool idea to a story. And so I'm really excited to see where that story leads into this book because, oh my gosh, did I like flip to the end of the book and be like, what is gonna happen next? Like, I'm so insanely curious, and so this is definitely on the top of my reads. I'm thinking fall vibes for sure. And then you guys, I have a few books that I'm so excited to read, and like, I feel like these are fall setting for sure, but I don't know if I can wait that long. So first thing is Powerless. I am so incredibly excited to read this book, and only because I've heard so many people tell me to pick this book up and read it, that I decided to also buy Powerful and Reckless, and so I'm super excited for the 3 of these books. I feel like they are gonna be so amazing and really up there with like Fourth Ring, A Court of Thorns and Roses, you know, things like that. So I have really high expectations for these, and I'm super hopeful that they will succeed my expectations. And then the last ones that I have on the top shelf are King of Wrath by Anna Huang. I want to read this entire series, and I know that she came out with a lot of books recently, so need to get onto that. Then I have 2 Colleen Hoover books that I have yet to read. These have been on my shelf for a very long time. I used to be like a huge Colleen Hoover lover, but with that being said, I have Layla and It Starts With Us. I'm not entirely sure when I'll get to these. I'm sure they were good at the time, but I have so many books on my list that I'm not sure if these are up there. Next I have What Happens After Midnight by K.A. Walther, and this is K.L. Walther, I'm sorry. This is a sequel. I'm super excited for it. I feel like I want to read this super soon just because summer is coming to an end. Hopefully not, I mean, we're halfway through, I guess. I'm super excited to pick this up nonetheless. Then we have By a Thread by Lucy Score. I've only read one Lucy Score book, and it was The Things We Never Got Over, and it was mid to me, you guys. I'm so sorry to say, but I was like, this book is so freaking long for kind of what we're getting out of it that I feel like it wasn't worth it. But hopefully she redeems herself. This is also a very thick book. Maybe she's just a thick book girly, we don't know. But I am excited to read this nonetheless. Then we have Flawless by Elsie Silver. I haven't read a cowboy romance ever, and I feel like this should be the first one for sure. That or either Done and Dusted, because I've heard many about those, but we don't have that book, and I'm trying to read only books on my Physical TBR at the moment. Then I have Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. Heard that this was like an overall rating of like 3 stars, so not super inclined to read it, but I know she came out with another book this summer, and so feel like now I have to read this and get another book. Then we have The 7-Year Slip. I am so excited to read this book, you guys. I feel like this is gonna be a hit, definitely like a 4 or 5 star read, just based on kind of what it's about. I feel like this is such a cool concept, so super excited for that. Then we have Better Than the Movies. Still have yet to read this. I read The Do-Over, which was actually really good and entertaining, and so I feel like this one will be too. Lynn Painter is just such a fast-paced writer, and I love that. Then we have One Dark Window. I have never read anything by Rachel Gilling before, but hoping for the best. I've heard so many people talk about this book and the second book in the series as well, and so gotta get to it at some point, you know? Then I have 3 more books, and these are all part of the Throne of Glass series. And so obviously I need to read the entire Throne of Glass series, but I read the first one and now I don't know whether to read Crown of Midnight or I'm assuming I read Crown of Midnight, then Assassin's Blade, then Heir of Fire. Not entirely sure though, so definitely comment down below if you guys have a different recommendation on how I'm supposed to read these. But keep in mind, I did read Throne of Glass first. And then I have A Winter's Promise. I'm not entirely sure when I will get to this. I tried it for a little bit and the world building was really extreme for me. And so we're gonna give it another go eventually, just not at the moment. Now we're on the last section of my books. And so we have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I need to get the second book as well because all my friends have read this book. I've let them borrow it before I read it. And now they're like, Jaden, you need to read this book because we need to read the next one. And so, gotta read that at some point. Obviously going to read it, I think in like the fall or winter time, just because it is like an ice skating romance. Then we have Dorothy Must Die. Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This one, I feel like so many people have read. Again, just a really big book. It's super daunting, but super excited to read it nonetheless. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and then I have Hooked by Emily McIntyre. You guys, I think this was like a popular book 2 years ago, and I have yet to read it yet, and we'll get to it, I promise. Hopefully, eventually. And then I have Hooked, like I was saying, and this book I feel like iffy, right? You know, like a lot of people have different mixed reviews on this, and so hoping for the best going into it, but not entirely sure what I want to do. I have the Shatter Me series, which we have yet to read. This is only the first book in the series that I have. I decided to only get the first book and then we'll see how far I get. If he had been with me, this is honestly such a heartbreaker that I'm kind of scared to read it yet, so gotta be in the mood. And then Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have not read a Taylor Jenkins Reid book yet and I feel like I need to, so that is definitely on the list for this summer. A few more books left. We have Daisy Jones and the Six. Again, definitely want to read this one. The Cruel Prince. I've heard mixed reviews about this. Definitely more of like a fantasy type vibe, so I feel like fall or winter again. And then The Silent Patient. I think I've had this for 2 years now, you guys, and I really want to read it, but again, gotta be in the mood for it, right? You know, like I gotta be in that fall-esque cozy mood where, you know, just a murder happens or something. I don't know. Then lastly, I have 2 more books. So first one is Where the Crawdads Sing. I have yet to read this one. Super excited about it though. Might read that one soon. And then we have Shadow and Bone, which was turned into a Netflix series, but not on the top of my list, you guys, like at all. So we'll see when I get to this. My boss from like a few years ago recommended it, and so I bought it and have not read it since. So there is that. Well, with that being said, those were all of the books on my TBR. So let me count them up real quick and then I'll tell you guys what we got. Okay guys, after counting, we have 47 books on my TBR, and I didn't even show you guys like the holiday themed books just because I feel like those aren't really relevant right now. But with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. There are so many more videos coming up, especially in terms of like reading vlogs and stuff, just so I can get back on track with my reading challenge. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.